Welcome. Thank you for coming out here. My name is Chris Williams. I am the owner of WideNet, CEO. Started it about 15 years ago in Anniston. We've moved around a couple of times, but now we're down on Noble Street. We started as a website design company back in '05, and since then the world has really changed, and it's gone from just needing a website to really needing to control your entire online presence, which is why I specifically titled this Optimizing Your Online Presence, because it's so much more than social media or just your website. It is your listings. It's controlling the results when somebody Googles your name or Bings or whatever they may be doing out there. So we can go ahead and kick this off. Today, what I'm going to try to run through, it's a lot of stuff, but I'm going to try to get through most of this. It's going to be the trends, the channels, kind of determining what in the world is going to work for your audience. And once you've determined who that audience is, how to drive them to your website, and then making sure they convert when they're on their website, and then following back up with those people that you paid in one form or fashion, you've paid to have them actually show up on your website, and not wasting that opportunity. And I've also got a bunch of tips and tricks and tools that I'm going to be showing at the end that we can run through. So in 2020, everything, absolutely everything, went to crap. All right. It's been confusing. It's been a struggle to decide how in the world can I spend this money that I'm scared to spend, because the world has completely shifted. If people can't come to your restaurant, if people can't come to your doctor's office, how can you hope to engage them and use what money that you've still retained and be effective in your marketing? So it seemed like everybody immediately just grabbed their money and they held on to it. And one of the first things to go, and in many worlds, rightfully so, was marketing. But you can't make money, that old adage, you can't make money without spending money. So if we're out there and we're doing it right, we're building content and we're showing people that we are the trusted authority and we know what we're doing, then you're going to be able to drive traffic and maintain your business because you're established. One of the very first things that you need to do in this year, and if you haven't done it already, it's time. You're late to the game, is to make sure your website is at the top of its game. People cannot come to your store. They're doing all of the research on their phones, on their computer, on their laptops, tablets, whatever, and they are looking at your website and judging your authenticity, your skill set based on what you've got out there. And your website also, if you are doing online advertising, or if you're putting up a billboard and you have your website out there, your business card, you hand it out, it's got your website. When they go see it, they're judging you immediately. And not only does the information have to be right, but it has to be optimized. And we're going to go through some of that. Once you've got your website up right and it's converting, it looks great, it's easy to use, we're going to go on to updating your listings. That is Google, that's Google My Business, that is your LinkedIn, everything, just everything that comes in from a directory standpoint. Having all of those correct will boost your website's visibility on all of the web. And then we're going to talk about building your reputation through reviews, which establishes, again, your authority, the trust, all of that. And that flows hand in hand with holding on and owning your listings across all these sites. And then once all of that's correct, you drive traffic. You drive traffic to your site, you drive traffic through Google Ads. They arrive at the site, and if they don't convert right away, if they don't call you right away, you have all the tools in place, the pixels out there to re-engage those site visitors, so that you get the most ROI on every dollar that you spend. So what should you be doing? And that really depends. It depends on who your audience is and what they're doing. If your audience, let's say you are a pediatric clinic, then your audience is going to be parents. Yes, there are children, but ultimately you want the spenders, right? So it's going to be parents. Those parents, if you think about who's out there having children these days, it is the people that are always on their phones. They're always on their phones. Even when they're driving, they're on their phones. They're on social media, they're on Instagram, they're on TikTok and Snapchat and everything else. Facebook is still the #1 place for that generation, but Instagram is very, very quickly overtaking that, and TikTok is a beast of its own. I don't imagine most people here are going to really care at all about TikTok, but I do enjoy it, and it's a fun platform. But when you're talking about where they are, for parents, you're looking again at social media to build authority, to build your brand, to build anything that says to them, you can trust me. This is going to be an easy process when you come here. And then when they're out there searching, they're going to ask their friends and family. Of course they are, as when you're looking for a pediatric clinic or any doctor whatsoever. But then they're going to go to Google and just look around. They're going to Google My Map search. They're going to Google Maps on their phone search. They're going to go on, of course, the search engine. If you're not optimized in those places, then you're not going to show up. So if you have yet to optimize your website, and if you haven't gone through the process of getting control of your Google My Business, then that's what you've got to focus on. And again, once we've done that at the beginning, we can then do Google pay-per-click advertising. So you will show up at the top, because the way it works, and we'll go through this a little bit later, is I like to say a sliding scale of if you're established and you have search engine optimization, that's SEO. If you have that optimization already done, then you don't have to spend quite as much on the PPC, pay-per-click advertising. But if you're brand new, or if you're just getting this done, then there's a sliding scale of I need eyeballs right now. And that's number 4, how fast do you need results? I want eyeballs on my site. I need customers. I need results immediately. So you're going to spend 80-90% of your budget and time on your pay-per-click, because that's immediate turn. You're immediately going to get people coming to your site or to your Facebook or giving you a call or coming to your business. There's a lot of different options out there for Google Ads. And then you're going to spend about 10 to 20% on your SEO, because SEO is critical for long-term ROI. If your site's showing up for free at #1, then you don't have to pay for it anymore. So the people that have established, they don't have to pay near what you're going to have to pay. People, when this pandemic hit and they ran out of, or they held on to their money, the ones that had SEO locked up, they're still showing up at the top, whether they can or can't or cannot afford to do Google Ads at that moment. So I like to say, start with a lot of PPC and some SEO, and then stretch that out so that your PPC budget goes down depending on how fast you're looking to grow, and your SEO goes up, and then you can lower your SEO over time, and your overall advertising spend can really be minimized, and it's long lasting. The second you turn off those Google Ads, they're gone. You're not going to get any more calls. But with SEO, you can stop that, and then that's going to last. Yes, it will trickle down, and you will start to move down, but over a long period of time, not immediately, more like over a year. So when we're talking about making your website right, optimizing it, the very first thing that you've got to do is go through and just do basic SEO optimization. And what that is making sure your title tags are right. Use a platform. We've started using WordPress with Elementor Pro as a plugin. Very simple website builder. We love using it. Our clients all love it. And you're able to go in there and create title tags for your main headers. You'll put alt tags on all your images. Make sure you've got breadcrumbs. And we're going to go through a couple of these, very specific elements over the next few slides. But you've got to do that basic SEO so that your site is ready to be crawled by Google and optimized to be crawled by Google so that it will show up. And the more I studied recently, your user experience actually is very heavily rated now. It's very heavily rated when it comes to your search rankings. It's not just like I've shoved a bunch of keywords on this page, so now I'm going to show up. If your site is really, really slow, hard to use, too much JavaScript, it takes, the elements are loading in a crazy, awkward way, or Google's seeing a high bounce rate off of your site, you're done. They're not going to rank you. And especially if you're not mobile optimized, they actually have started indexing and browsing most sites on on their mobile search, their mobile devices, basically. And if you don't show up well there, if you're not fast and everything I just said, then you're done. Again, they're going to start dropping you down the rankings. So optimize your site, basic SEO, but also technologically making sure your site is running fast. Then we're going to create the unique service pages. This helps you get optimized for what we call long tail keywords when you're doing SEO. So anybody can show up for, or everybody wants to show up for plumber, for doctor, pediatrician, for any of those big words. But what you really are looking for, because whenever you think about it, when you go to Google, you get in there and you type pediatrician, and you end up with resources, not just local listings of pediatricians. You're looking at how to become a pediatrician. Here are some magazines that pediatricians get into, and here's a wiki article, and all of these things competing for that very, very broad word. So you're looking at what we call long tail words of pediatrician in Anniston, Alabama, pediatric clinic, pediatric dentist in Anniston, Alabama. And then even more so, when somebody's looking for something specific, you need to have your services with unique pages. Definitely do not just copy and paste all of your services. So if you're a plumber, you're going to want drain cleaning, you're going to want line running, shower repair, all of those. Each one of those needs its own service, and it needs its own service page. And you need to spend just a little bit of time. And there are great services out there. The Content Company, I have a link to it later in the slides. The Content Company's one. WideNet, of course, will help you with all of that. I'm not trying to sell you on us. And then once you've got your services and your products all within individual pages, Google will rank those higher. The same thing for your geographic. It's very hard when you serve multiple geographic areas. The bigger your service area gets, the harder it is to convince Google, especially like Google My Business, Google Maps, that you actually are a business in that city. So you need an individual page for every major city that you're in. And we like to say roughly 10. So if you say, I serve the Anniston area or the Calhoun County area, then you're going to say Sacs, Welburn, White Plains, of course, Anniston and Oxford, get down to Talladega. Just create city-based pages and start to, and do not just copy paste them and swap out the words Talladega for Anniston. You need to actually create unique pages, because Google will penalize you. Anytime you create a page and you have an identical page with very, very few changes, those pages lose their page rank. So you need to just go ahead and take the time to do it right, and maybe bring up some of the amenities, some of the entertaining things that you can do in those areas, and just talk about the city as a whole, and then create those pages. And then everywhere throughout the site, and again, we're going to hit these elements in just a minute, but everywhere throughout your site, you need to have your phone number up at the top, forms galore, the simpler the better, pop-ups when the mouse is going out of the site, call to actions, hey, do you want this, or can we help you in any other way? I love chatbots. I do not like to call on the phone. I've found that chatbots are big converters. I would highly suggest that, and I have a link to the one we use later in the slides. But chatbots, and then call to actions everywhere. Give us a call, fill out this form. Never ever ask anybody to sign up for a newsletter. Nobody wants to sign up for a newsletter. Always use a phrase like, do you want helpful tips for maintaining your lawn? Yes, I want that. Do you want to sign up for my newsletter? Absolutely not. I have enough newsletters. I unsubscribe one every day. Ask the question that fixes their issue, and not just a generic statement. So looking at this graphic here, your domain name used to matter a lot. So you would want to do plumber in Anniston, pediatric clinic, San Francisco, and .com. That used to matter so much more than it does now. Right now, you can literally have a website called debitcard.com that's all about plant life, and that doesn't really affect you that much. It's nice to have a short one, The shorter the better, especially for email addresses, but it really doesn't matter as much as it did. Have your logo in there. Always make your logo click back to your home screen. The phone number is essential. Everybody expects your phone number to be somewhere at the top, usually top right, right next to the call to action to fill out a form. Again, your call to action does not need to say call or click here to email. It should say something that is going to solve their problem. At least around that with a button that says now. Your navigation has got to be easy. Up at the top, it's really nice when that navigation will minimize up on a responsive site and follow you down the page. So when you want to go to that next area, you don't have to scroll all the way back up, find the services or find the about page or hit the contact button. Have the essential items follow the user down the page. When you're talking about the content, especially on your home page, sliders are great. However, just go ahead and assume most people aren't getting past the second slider, unless you're specifically touting that you've got deals and everything going on that they need to look for in these slides. They're not getting past the second slider or slide. One of the faster ways to have your website show up is to not use a slider. Actually, just put a big image that's selling what you're trying to kill it on right now. So if you have a big auto loans promotion going on, then have that be the thing right there in the center. And that's going to make your website show up faster. And you can optimize that one image and all of that kind of stuff versus a slider, which is going to have the motion. The motion does attract the eye, but it's not always the best decision. So use it when it's necessary, not because it's cool or it just looks really neat or pretty. Pretty is great. Pretty doesn't convert. Then you immediately want to have your business information and your reviews. And I'm going to show you guys later some really great review platforms that will help you automate all of this. So we're going to show those testimonials and reviews. We're going to build our trust and our authority on the site. And then you're going to get immediately down into your services. You want to highlight those, linking to those service pages we just talked about. And then anything below that is probably not going to get read. Just the value of the time that you put into your site needs to wane as you go a little bit further down the page. However, in the footer, it needs to be consistent. You're always going to find the contact information, some more links, and about a privacy policy, the time, the hours, social links, and links to the Google My Business, maps, all of that kind of stuff. That's what you want down at the bottom. And again, I highly recommend finding a chatbot and getting a chatbot on your site. The ones that I'm going to show you are they integrate with SMS with your normal chat programs with Facebook chats. So it's not like you're having to monitor an extra thing. You're already using these things, and so are your customers. So they're able to talk to you on say the Facebook Messenger app on their phone that they already have installed, or through SMS, without you having to ask them to do an extra step. Just making sure it's simple, it's simple, it's simple. And the automated tools that you can go through are just amazing to build a true kind of a pre-sale questionnaire or a guiding them to the right phone number if you have multiple phone numbers. So I'm a huge, huge fan. This is optimizing for mobile. A lot of people don't understand what responsive means, but this is a great example. And I will get off this page kind of soon because that graphic is zooming by. But this is what we're talking about, where when you've got a beautiful site and then you have not optimized for mobile, when you see it on the phone, it's just a mini version of that website that you're forcing your customers to zoom in and zoom out and try to find their way around. They don't make it. They don't stay. They're going to start bouncing almost immediately, and then you've lost that opportunity. So this has been around for a while, but it's become more and more prevalent and more required as Google has adjusted all of their algorithms to highly target and focus on mobile. So building your authority. Now you have your website. It is optimized. You've got all the right elements so that when you actually send people to your site, they're going to convert. Now we've got to start telling Google that it should send those people to your site. So you claim your listings. There are a lot of directories. Of course, Google My Business is the main one. Your Facebook page, your Instagram, having those as business listings with the right address and phone number are all very, very important. But All of these are linked, and I can send out the presentation later, but all of these are great services. Yext.com, BrightLocal, Birdeye, MozLocal, these also work for reputation management, but I like Birdeye and Yext. Yext is probably the most well-known. BrightLocal also looks great. Yext is a little expensive, and MozLocal for a free analysis of how well you're really doing with your directory listings, and they'll give you a nice little report that'll show you how you're doing. The importance of this is you can't ask for reviews unless you own the accounts. You can't sign into these review reputation management platforms unless you own them. You can't guarantee anything's correct from the services to any of that stuff. So Google does a really good job of grabbing from directories and listings and putting you on their Google Maps and their Google My Business results pages. But when you're able to use, either go in there and manually do it or use a tool like Yext, you're actually able to add in your services and your products and your hours. And then from these tools, you can immediately adjust your hours across all of the sites. So and in a very, very important way, COVID said it changed all the hours, and it seemed like it was changing every other week. Well, with these tools, you can go on. So when people are checking to see if you're open, it's going to update your Facebook page. It's going to update your Google My Business all at the same time to say, hey, on Thursdays, we're closing at 7, or on December 16th, we're closed all day due to renovations, or we had a COVID outbreak and we have to close this branch or this office. So we're not going to be there for important information, call this or do that. That's what these tools enable you to do across hundreds of directories, literally hundreds of directories. It's kind of overwhelming, but as long as you get the big, say 12, you are good. But I would absolutely recommend having it everywhere, because at that point, it's just more links pointing to your site and more authority and validation that's going to happen. So ongoing blogging, you've got your site, it looks great, you're optimized on site for SEO, but you need fresh content. You need to be, if you want to be the authority to the people that you want to be clients, and to the world, I guess, and to Google, then you've got to be putting out content on, if you're a plumber, on how to drain your pipes, or how to make sure they don't freeze in the winter, or with your HVAC unit, how do we what do we need to do in the spring? So you put out all this content that helps people. And yes, you may or may not be, quote unquote, giving away your secrets. Nobody cares. It's not a secret. You can find anything on Google. Give away and show that you are amazing at what you do by teaching somebody else how to do it. And the money that they will eventually spend with you will come, not because you showed them how to do it and they could do it themselves. You'll get that money because they don't have time to do it. They don't want to do it. They want somebody that knows what they're doing to come out and do it. And by putting that out there, you're quite literally saying, here's exactly how I'm going to do it when I come to your place. So you can write that content, or there again, the content company, text broker, it's so much per article. I think about $50 per well-researched article with no misspellings. I can't believe there was actually an article with or an option that said, I'm okay with misspellings. But these companies, they'll put out a lot of content for you. You just have to tweak it, make it yours right when you get it, approve it, and then you're done for the month. I would not recommend, say, more than one blog a month going out. It's just too much. What you could do is write one good sized blog that's got, say, 5 points, and then you break that bigger content down into 5 social posts, or 2 or 3 points in an email that you send out, and you say, for the rest of this article, click here to come see my site. Guess what's on your blog on the right side? Forms, phone numbers, chat bots, ways to call you, ways to get in contact with you. And a really cool thing about these chat bots is, if you're on a page, let's say you do HVAC and plumbing and whatever else, it doesn't matter, you serve ice cream. If they're on the ice cream page, then you can say to your chatbot, hey, when they're on this page, I want you to use this script, which is going to be all about ice cream, or all about HVAC, all about plumbing. And they're going to start asking the right questions for the pre-sale, and then say, hey, thank you, can I get your phone number? And then can I get your email address in case we get disconnected? Yeah, sure. And then you've got that information immediately. And you're able to then call them, follow up, chat with them. Again, it's up to your availability. And another really great thing about the chatbots, and I'm going to go on just a little bit about it, is when somebody interacts with your content on Facebook, they call it a content guard. With the company that I'm going to recommend is Mobile Monkey. The content guard or comment guard, what that is if they comment or chat with you, you have X amount of time. These are Facebook's rules. X amount of time to send them messages or to get back in touch with them a day later, and you can start to kind of reapproach them with what they were interested in yesterday. Because the more time that goes on, especially in the service-based industry, they probably already found somebody else, especially if it's an urgent type business. So the chatbots are amazing. You can do it per page, and you can capture the leads from Facebook for a certain period of time. You're able to message them anytime you want. It's kind of crazy powerful. And then link building for SEO. If everything we've done there doesn't get you ranking high over the next, say, 3 months, 3 to 6 really, then you want to start a link building campaign. And you don't want to go out there and purchase 1,000 links from China on all of these random sites. What you want to do is go to, and I thought I put this tool, but it's like Ahref, or SEMrush, and they will tell you, if you put in your competitor, they will tell you everybody that's linking to them, which articles, which directories, whatever. Every month, you should just try 1 to 2 good quality links coming from whoever's linking to your competitors. If they're showing up really high, it's just a good quality link. Then Google will start to notice you, your page rank will go up, your authority builds, and then you start showing up. It's not a crazy number of links per month that you have to grab. So when you're building your reputation, this is all about, they call it reputation management in our industry. And reputation management is about understanding how you come across all throughout the web. These are 3 great tools here to do that. You can also use, again, BrightLocal will help you go and look up your reviews. These are not exactly cheap tools because they're always monitoring. Some of them can be about $60 a month. Some of them are hundreds of dollars a month. And what they're doing, they either have automation tools where they can reply, where they can send you a text or an email or whatever when a review comes in. They can try to determine the review's intent and its mood, I guess you would say. But they'll alert you, and if it's priority, if it's not priority, then because of certain keywords, then you know whether or not you need to immediately go deal with this review. And then most importantly, though, a lot of these tools will integrate with your internal systems. So if you're using a CRM, contact resource management program, then you can integrate with those. So every time a new contact comes into those, and let's say you tag them as new customer, then these platforms will go out there and they will email them or text them or whatever you've got set up and ask for a review. And just doing that, of course, we all get those. We get those emails, we get those texts or whatever it might be. And you will fill out some and you won't fill out some. The point is, they're definitely not going to go review you if you don't ask them to go review you. And many, many, many businesses are dying or thriving based on their reviews on Google and Facebook and all these places. So it's just an easy way to make sure that your reputation is top notch. And these are some great tools. They will also aggregate the positive reviews and maybe some slightly not, depending on how many you have. But they'll grab those and they'll make them really pretty. And you can put that in that reviews section on your website that we talked about earlier in this presentation. And then it'll also ask on your website, hey, if you used this before, leave us a review. This will help you build trust with everybody that's coming and leaving reviews. But when it's a bad review, you're also able to learn. You're able to learn if you have a bad representative out there that's walking into people's houses or just doing a really bad job or over-promising and under-delivering or whatever the case may be. They're going to complain. You learn, you respond, you handle the issue internally. It's not just about your reputation at that point. you're actually just improving your business, you're apologizing, you're sending a coupon or something like that. You can take care of the issue, get them to flip that 1 or 2 star review to a 5, and you win. Ultimately, by blowing their minds, you really blow their minds, they're going to start sharing it on Facebook as well, because who doesn't do that when somebody goes crazy above and beyond just to say, man, they did a great job. Now, you've got your website, your listings, everything's kind of just pointing at you and doing a good job. It's all optimized. It's all nice and neat. Now, how do we get people to actually go to your site today? Again, that sliding scale, it's pay-per-click advertising. That's the fastest way. If you need customer today, you can go on Google, drop $100, and you're going to get a call, okay? If you don't know what you're doing, you are going to waste a lot of money very, very quickly on Google AdWords. It's very, very easy to do. I would recommend that you use a tool, which I referenced later in the thing called AdZuma. There's a few others out there right now. AdZuma is, it was free during the COVID pandemic. It might still be free if you go there, AdZooma.com. Again, it's in the slide later, and it will start to help guide you with your campaigns. So pay-per-click advertising is going to immediately drive people there. And then SEO to build that lasting traffic, the sliding scale I already talked about. But then most importantly, you need to monitor through Google Analytics, through your SEO platform, whatever you might be using, if that's Moz or a company. Look at those reports. And then when you're paying for people to come to your site, you better have the Facebook pixel on there and the Google Analytics pixel on there, the Google retargeting, the conversion, all of those settings on there. Because if you're not, you're wasting all that money and all that effort every time they come, because the most ROI you can receive when it comes to a paid ad is a re-engaged paid ad. It's remarketing is the term in our industry, but you're going to remarket to those people. You know how it is, where you go to Amazon and you look at a vacuum cleaner, and then everywhere you go after that, the vacuum cleaner's following you around. That's remarketing. It works. The ROI on that is super high. On Google Ads, 71% of the searches are done. You can read this. The click-through rate, again, SEO, 27.7%. If the ads are up top, that's still sort of the first position, but everybody knows this. To kind of go past those ads, you're going to get $2 for every dollar spent on average if you're using a good tool like AdZuma or something like that, or you've studied your butt off and now you know what you're doing, or you've just made a lot of mistakes and you figured it out. It's a very, very expensive way to do it. And I will say this, one time, I think it was Facebook, it could have been Google AdWords, but we put for ourselves, we put the wrong top budget on there, an extra 0, and they got us, they spent all that money just like we told them to. And when $1,000 goes away and you meant to spend 100 and you didn't get anything from it, you can call one time, and they gave it back to us and said, all right, that's your one. You're not going to get to do this again. So be very careful. I always recommend setting a maximum budget for the whole campaign, not just for that particular ad or ad group. For the whole campaign, to say, hey, I don't want to spend more than, even on accident, $500, or even on purpose, $500. All right, we're going to get in some easy tips and tricks for you. These are ways to come up with that content, right? Because we're talking about optimizing, getting everything right. But how do you know what's right? What's the right content to put on your site and to post and share? It's actually pretty easy. Ask your whoever's answering your phones what questions they're getting all the time. Put those in your frequently asked questions. Not only will you reduce calls, make your customers happier, they can find the answer on their own, but your customer service staff they're going to be much happier, and they're going to have a resource as well of the answers to these questions that they're always getting. So take those questions, turn them into facts, turn them into white papers, turn them into whatever, blog posts, whatever. And now you are the authority on that particular thing, whatever the question may be. And then you take that again, big content, break it up, post it on social media. It's a fantastic way to generate content. Tip number 2, asking your customers what they want to see. What do they actually read? Okay, not you. We're a marketing agency. Me posting marketing tips and tricks that are specific to agencies just doesn't make sense. Me asking, okay, in a reasonable way, what do people who would use us, what are they actually going to do? What are they willing to do? Because they're not going to go most likely to Google Ads, AdWords ads, and do all of this themselves, right? So me telling them how to do it themselves isn't always the best use of my time. Whereas the big hits, the big struggles with that they may be going through from their side. So if I'm targeting, again, pediatric clinics, then I'm not going to use the word, hey, are you looking for more customers? No, they're not. They're looking for more patients, right? You have to use the right words for the right industry, and you have to think about their pain points and then build your content to solve their problems, not just talk about your services and how amazing you are and all of these random testimonials. So there are a lot of options there. Definitely don't use the jargon. I'm sitting here talking about SEO, PPC, and I'm trying to remember to say it, search engine optimization and remarketing. What is that? That's why I said we'll re-engage them after they come. People don't know your industry, no matter how long you've been doing it and how much you think they should. They don't. They never do. And number 3, Google knows what your clients want. You can do that by typing in pediatric clinic space, plumber space, and they're going to suggest all of these options for you, and you can use that to start to build your content as well. So if machine learning case studies, okay, I need to go get some case studies of my clients, and I need to post them on my site because people are obviously looking for that, or Google wouldn't be suggesting it. It's just a quick, easy trick. And then the suggested and the related searches all the way at the bottom of the search box or the search page. And our blog, we've got a what should you write about? You can click on that and it'll give you a bunch of options as well. Now, does anybody have any questions so far? I'm about to jump on to tools of the trade, where I'm just talking about a lot of the tools that we use that you can use and you should take note of if you're really wanting to get out there and start marketing for yourself. That'll make your job a little bit easier. If you do, just make sure you shoot it in the chat, and I'll look for it and try to respond to you. AdZuma, I mentioned it earlier. It's for a newbie, and newbies, again, are going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to spend a lot of money. AdZuma is an amazing platform that will go in and analyze everything you've got set up. Or if you don't have anything set up, you can create your campaigns through here, and they'll tell you over the course of time, and it never stops analyzing. Hey, this particular ad isn't converting. Why don't you do 3 different images for this ad so that we can figure out which one of those images, it's called A/B testing, which one of these images works better on the people you're targeting. Maybe for an auto loan, it's not a picture of a car in Alabama, it's a picture of a truck that's actually going to convert when you're advertising auto loans. Or maybe it's a family instead of a picture of a house that's going to sell your mortgage loans. These are just a lot of questions that you could figure out by just putting out there these A/B testing options, and AdZuma will recommend that to you. They'll also find a lot of spelling mistakes that you'll put in there. They'll make it easy to duplicate and modify and test different keywords and all that. But it's not just for Google ads. I want to make that clear. It's very, very much so for Facebook ads as well. And then you can bring both sets of ads together and determine what's working where, and you can very easily do this kind of automated and or bulk modification to your ads that you've got out there. It's a cool platform. I'd recommend you check it out. I know it's free now, or it was. I think there's a 30-day free trial. I definitely recommend checking this out if you're trying to get into there. And I will answer the questions right at the end, and I'll jump on there. Joyce, thanks for shooting that over. Mobile Monkey, I've been talking about that. I love it. You can make some really neat stuff. They have some great templates that you can start from. So if you're a plumber or an agent, or not an agency, a pediatric clinic, then you got these basic templates for selling, for supporting, for just talking somebody through your services. And you can take that and turn it into your own script, and then it'll automatically kind of put that out there. It's very smart. Not every time, but every once in a while, we're able to trick people into thinking we're real people when it's the chatbot is fun. But again, it works through web chat, through Facebook Messenger, through SMS. When you write these scripts, whether they come at you through Facebook on your page or onto your website, it all coalesces into one chat platform if you want to just use Mobile Monkey. So you have one dashboard to see all of it, or you can do it through Facebook Messenger alone. Again, the instant communication, it's a great way to convert people. Canva. Canva has a mobile app, canva.com. We use it here at WideNet a lot. Also, easel.com is a competitor to Canva, but Canva is amazing because you go on there, it says that they're pre-sized templates. If you're trying to make a Facebook event, you click Facebook event, and it's going to give you the exact size, and then about 200 different templates. And then you choose the template that you want. It puts it on the site, or puts it over there on the right side. You start editing. You can change everything about it. It's drag and drop, and then you just hit save, and you've got your Facebook event header. This for personal, it's free. You can still, of course, use it for some of your business stuff as an individual account. We use the team account so that we can kind of keep all of our assets together, whether it's logos and color schemes and stuff like that. But there's also a lot of free stock photos built in, and fonts and other crazy design elements that just, if you're like me, I can reproduce something, but I am not creative. So I can't just look at this and say, oh, I'm going to make this pretty. Not in my wheelhouse, but this gives you a great starting point for just about anything you're wanting to do. This app is amazing, and I would share it with everybody you know that ever has old photos. This isn't exactly 100% business, but if you have any photo, any document, anything, you know how hard it is to take that photo and lay it down and then take a picture of it, to scan it, quote unquote, and there's a light over here, there's no light over here. It never comes out right. With Google Photo Scan, you start to scan it, and you will literally move your camera around, and it'll tell you where to go for the dots, and it will even it out, combine it together, and your pictures come in just looking great. And so that I added that in today just because I use this a lot, and I would highly recommend it if you have photos to scan in, brochures to scan in, if you have a logo, things like that you're trying to get in that for some reason you don't have the digital copy of. Great tool. It's just a free app for iPhone and Android. Photoshop Express, it's free. There is the Adobe Photoshop app, and there's a bunch of Photoshop Camera and things like that. I love Photoshop Camera, it's really cool, but Photoshop Express is free. The other apps that I just mentioned, all the other Adobe apps, you have to have the Creative Cloud account unless you're a student, and I think you can probably get some of them for free or at least reduced, nonprofit as well. I'm not really up on that, but Photoshop Express, great little tool to crop, straighten, rotate, brightness, filters, all that kind of stuff. And then Photoshop Fix, another, I believe this one's free as well, but it is a crazy easy tool. You just go around, you hit all your zits, or the duck that's in the background, you can just wipe that thing out of there. It's really great tool. Super simple. It only fixes. It doesn't do anything else. So it's highly optimized for that. Legend, just it's $1.99. Sometimes it's free, sometimes it's not. I just went in and made sure I put it's $1.99 because it's a really amazing tool to just put overlaid moving text on top of graphics, on top of whatever, so that your ads, so that your social posts and your creative content, all that out there is just got a little more movement to it. I would always recommend a video or some sort of movement if you haven't targeted really well in the past. If you're just trying and starting out with your Google ads or your Facebook ads, always make it move, because people are just sitting here doing this and they're scrolling their phones, and they're going to scroll right past your ad. But then the second it moves, it catches their eye. It's called V Studio. It's a video editor. It's free. Bunch of filters, but for me personally, the main reason I use this is I get really frustrated with not being able to crop a video. You can trim a video's length, and with this you can actually slice it up. But in so many programs, you can't crop it to a square, which Facebook loves and Instagram loves, of course, and all those other platforms. So this is one of those that I found that does just a great job. You can do slow-mo, drop in later. You don't have to actually do the slow-mo camera and all that while you're doing the recording. So another great tool. Premiere Pro, you do have to have the yearly subscription. We use this a lot. Also, Adobe Premiere Rush. If you do have, I didn't put that on here, but if you do have the Creative Cloud license, then I highly recommend jumping in with Rush, because as the name implies, it's made for making videos really quickly, just like iMovie. And that's the next one actually. But then if you get it close, but it's not killing it for you, you can take that from Rush and it immediately integrates with Premiere Pro. And then you can do the tweaks that you wanted to do that are a little more advanced. Premiere Pro is not easy. It is, you need some training for about, I don't know, it'd probably take about a week of just messing around with it, trying to watch some YouTube videos. There are a million out there. That's how I learned that. And my friend Josh France taught me so much, great video editor. And then once you've got the basics down though, it's really easy to move around. iMovie, again, you have to have an Apple, but it's a great, very, very easy to use platform. Okay, so those are the tools that I threw out there. Thank you so much for attending. I'm going to address one or two of these questions here. What are the best websites and social media platforms to use? Well, best websites for like website CMS platforms, like content management systems. WordPress is one we use, mainly for us. Of course, there's Wix and Weebly and Squarespace. If you're trying to sell things online, I'm a big fan of Squarespace. For anybody that's got a smaller budget and is okay with the monthly cost, and you want to sell, say, maybe 10 products or less than 100, Squarespace is great. Shopify, of course, everybody's seen Shopify out there, so I like Shopify for stores. I'm just a big fan of Squarespace, Wix. Social media platforms, Facebook, of course, is the main one for people that are, how about this, for the people that are spending money, Facebook and Instagram. And Facebook and Instagram. TikTok, if you're looking for 30 and under, really 20, let's say 5 and under, you're selling clothes, you're selling anything like that, TikTok is exploding, and the cost of entry on that is just so small, the advertising cost. And they have a self-serve platform now for their advertising. Of course, a lot of these, that same generation's on Snapchat. A lot of my generation, I'm 40, is on Snapchat. I'm also on TikTok, but I'm a kind of a early adopter. But ROI on TikTok, if you're a B2C company, is going to be huge, especially if you sell things that generation is going to want. It's going to be huge. Another thing that I forgot to mention, if you're advertising on Google AdWords or on Facebook ads or any of these other platforms, there's a way for you to take your content, that is, if you have a CRM or even if you just have an Excel document with all your contacts in it for your clients, you can take that, export it, format it specifically for the way that Facebook and Google want it, upload that list. It needs to have the email addresses, phone numbers, and any kind of a birth date, as much information as possible, and you get that into those systems. They won't make you friends with them or anything like that, but you can target exactly those people. So I want to target my custom list of customers, or one of the more powerful tools, especially let's say if you have less than 1,000 customers, you can do a lookalike audience, which says these are the kind of people that I want to target. And it will find whoever it can find based on the information you give. It'll generate a new audience based on that information. They work here, they like these things, they they're outdoors a lot, whatever the case may be. And then you create a lookalike audience, and now you're highly targeting that group of people. So that's a very powerful tool to use when you're getting into advertising. To educate and empower, not really sell anything. I would definitely, if you're looking for, say, a few bucks a month or free, Squarespace or Wix. Truth be told, if you're brand new business or just an entrepreneur, maybe you're freelancing and just getting out there. Those are some easy to use platforms. WordPress.com also does it. We use WordPress that you can download and install on a server that we've run. We've been doing this 15 years. But WordPress.com is also fairly easy. It's not something that I suggest typically. If you just want drag and drop and you want it to look pretty, educate, put some content out there, I would suggest Squarespace or Wix. And then, there was one other, Webflow. Webflow.com. I'm getting a ton of those advertisements, so I'd highly recommend Webflow. And what's the best thing to start from the ground up with a new business? You're going to have to get your website right, just like I said. If you've got some money, then you're going to have PPC, pay-per-click, to get the quick results. If you've got time and you can invest in creating content, then all day, every day, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram stories, Instagram page, it's all free. I mean, just get out there and start doing it. The hardest thing to do is to do it consistently, because you're exhausted. You're trying to run your business. You're working hard. You're making the thing that you said you're going to make. So who has time to do all of that? Gary Vee does. If you want some really great advice, follow him, Garyvee. Follow him. He's going to tell you to get your butt in gear, and that you have the time. We're just not making the time. And I scold myself all the time for that, but it is what it is. I highly recommend following him if you're an entrepreneur. You'd be crazy not to. Buy his book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, and listen to his podcast. You can't go wrong. He's an amazing person. So last question, the name of that tool when creating the list of email and phone numbers to generate a new one. If I was going to use a CRM, if you don't have one to organize your customers, I like HubSpot. They have a free sales CRM tool. Just start throwing clients in there, throw your entire email list. Like if you go to your Gmail, you can export your contacts, go in there, and then you can import all of those into HubSpot. It'll help you remove duplicates, combine people together, and then you can kind of get them organized, tagged, and do all that. And then from there, you can export to Excel as a CSV. And from that Excel sheet, that's what you load into Facebook or Google Ads as your custom audience. So when I do Facebook advertising, we use Facebook's Business Manager, which is just a way to kind of keep your personal Facebook and your business Facebook separate. You can do that even if you're only managing one page, but I do recommend doing that because it becomes really easy to accidentally post for when you're trying to post for yourself. You end up posting for a client or for your business, something that you really didn't mean to post. It's happened many times. I can send I'm going to answer this last question here live. So I will send the presentation to the chamber if they want that, or I can put it on our website and send you a link, and I'll make sure that you have access to it one way or the other. We'll get it over to you. I know because I've got a lot of good links in there, and there's the other things that I brought up during the presentation. I'll make sure that I link those in here as well. I'll just kind of drop them in. They may not be beautiful, but they will be in there. If you need anything, WideNet, we're here to help. We're on Noble Street. We've been around forever. I love helping people. Feel free to call. Feel free to chat, to text, to anything, and reach out if you just have questions. I am not a hard sell type person. I really hate that. So I want you to be successful in your business. And if you have questions, please call, please email, whatever. I'm more than happy to help. And with that, does anybody have any questions? If not, I think we can wrap this up. And we didn't actually go over how we were going to do that. So just let me know and we will end all of this.